Hello and welcome to Blue Garden Cottage. Lovely to have you along with us again, and especially a warm welcome to a new subscriber. It's lovely to have you along as well. Hope you feel welcome. I obviously, as promised, said I would show you some of the things I'd been doing this week to do with homemaking, and as you can see at the minute I'm just busy sewing a little bit of just a small little sewing job that's been nagging me and waiting for me to do it for months, and if I don't do it, it's not going to be done. It's a hole in a pocket, and you know pockets and keys and holes and things, but this is my coat pocket, my raincoat, and every single day I put my hand in that pocket and I'm reminded I really need to get on with sewing up this hole, because it's just going to get worse. The fabric on these in this pocket wasn't lined up very well, so the zigzagging missed it. It's just a little small section, and I really couldn't be bothered to get the sewing machine out this time of night to sew 4 centimeters of a piece of cloth. And I'm not doing a whole pile of sewing. That sewing pile that you know I have on the one chair in the lounge is just going to have to stay there a little longer. But I'm getting through little jobs like this. In the week I sewed up my husband's pockets, the holes which were made from keys, and I made new pockets. Well, I just put a new sleeve pocket. I used, what did I use? A soft denim. Was it a soft denim? I had some spare soft denim, and I used that to fix up the hole into, or rather make a new sleeve for his pockets that were there. And I did take the sewing machine out for that one, because obviously it needed some pretty robust zigzagging and sewing, and it needed to last. So that was done with the sewing machine. So there's 2 of the sewing jobs that I've got out the way. But when it comes to homemaking, it seems to be a bit of a dirty word for a lot of people, because they've adopted this attitude and idea that homemaking is something that women are chained to the kitchen sink to do. They're kept at home, and that it's a woman's job, idea that it means that you are of the weaker sex because you're a homemaker. And there seems to be a very negative stereotype around the word homemaking. And I really hate that, because I have never been the sort of woman to be chained to the kitchen sink, kowtowing and spending all my days serving others. I hate that stereotype. It's just not true. And to me, homemaking is not just, for women. It's always been for everybody. I've always tried to teach both my children, my son and my daughter, how to look after themselves, how to provide for themselves. Then, there was never going to be for anybody a promise that they would have somebody to do these things for them, and I wanted them to be able to survive anyway. See that? Just that 2 minutes, job done, hole fixed. There you go. So anyway, back to the topic again. I taught my children how to survive, how to look after themselves. Excuse me, we're back up here again. And to provide for themselves. The self-reliance thing. It's freedom. Self-reliance is freedom. So I taught my children how to do the basic life skills things. And sometimes, as they grow into teenagers, we know they drift away a bit from the things you teach them. But they do come back, as is evident. Because I'm going to put in a couple of photographs now of some of the things my children have been doing. My daughter's been baking and cooking and doing that for a good number of years now. She's well into adulthood now, and she's become a dab hand at baking and cooking. Really good. And nobody would ever call her a woman chained to the sink. I can tell you that. She does it because she loves doing it. It feels good. And it's because I used to bake when they were little. I used to bake all the time. I mean, obviously, this did not come for free, and it came with skill, baking and cooking and having fun in the kitchen and just smelling the smells of home cooking and baking and the bread and the yeast. You could smell the yeast rising in the bread. Oh, it fills the soul and it makes you feel good. So passing that on to my children was really important. And when my children have been sharing photographs with me and calling me up and double checking on, did I do this right? Or how am I getting so far? And we FaceTime and talk through things. And it feels so good. I am so relieved that after all those years of sharing and teaching, that they've actually taken on board something that I've taught them. So all parents out there, don't lose hope. They did listen. They'll come back to it later in life. So it really, it makes me smile when they share their photographs with me and their treats that they make. Their breads and I'm just going to put a couple of photographs in now of the things that they've been doing. So as you can see, I am chuffed. I am smiling from ear to ear because my kids are going to be okay. If anything happened to me, they could feed themselves, they could clothe themselves, they could manage their homes. I know that they're going to be okay. Okay, there's some things that obviously still need work, but that's a life skill, and life skills comes with experience and time. So they'll be all right. I've taught them the basics. And I know they're going to be okay. That is such a feeling of comfort to me, to know that both my children and their families are going to be okay because I taught them how to do the basic stuff in life and to be able to make things from scratch. And we've taught them survival skills. I mean, when my son was little, my husband taught him, that was a long time ago, obviously, taught him how to catch, dispatch and clean rabbit for meat as a survival. I think he was, how old was he? Not even 8 years old. But it was essential for us, having heard lots of stories of young children being separated from families and being out in survival situations. And we thought, if our children were ever separated from us for any reason, we want them to be survivors. And we taught them to survive. We did a lot of foraging and outdoor walking and teaching them how to recognize usable stuff that would be helpful. And my son has carried on with that. He was always an outdoorsy person. My daughter not so much, but she still learned. So I have confidence and comfort that my home teaching, my style, appropriate for my family, will serve them well, that they will survive no matter what. So that was, to me, just one part of homemaking. And another part, I think I've mentioned in other videos before, that homemaking for me is to make a home where we all work together to make a place where we love to be. It's a sanctuary. Now in lockdown, and we're back again in another lockdown here in Wales for just at least 2 or 3 weeks. Well, 3 weeks by the time we get to go out again. Our family anyway. A lot of people are feeling a kind of cabin fever at being at home. I haven't felt that. I have relished it. I have loved it because I haven't had to run around. I get to do things in my home to make it feel like a sanctuary where I want to be, and escape from some of the horrible things out in the world. And not all things are bad. The world's there's a lot of beautiful things and people out there, and a lot of things that are happening that are not so negative and scary. But I want our home to be like a crossroads for all our family members. It's a meeting point, a place with safety where they can come and gather and offload and feel at home. So to me, that's what homemaking is, to make a sanctuary and that crossroads, a place of safety and happiness. Even though general life gets in the way. General life can throw us curveballs, and even inside of our sanctuary we can have stress, we can have worries, we can have illness, all the normal things of life. But it still can be a place where we love to be, and I love to be at home. I've had so many years of having to do a lot of running around where we worked, all the normal duties of parenting and backing and forthing and service, and I always just dreamed of being able to just be home and make a place where we love to be, where we want to come home to. And I think that's one of the things that is lacking. People are just so busy, genuinely so busy. They work so hard, or they're so busy helping others, that they just are never home. And coming home feels like just coming to a pit stop. It's where you come to eat and sleep. And to be locked up and not be able to get out and explore, and it must be awful for them. It must be awful for people who feel like home is just a pit stop. And we can change that. Our house, we don't have a designer house of any standards. We have no fashionable stuff. What we have is all stuff we've gathered over all the years, and it just makes home, because it's cozy, it's what we use, it's what we need, it's what we love. It makes us feel secure. So it doesn't matter that it doesn't meet up to the standards of a magazine. It doesn't matter that others might come in and judge it, because quite frankly they don't, and if they do, at least they have the manners to keep it to themselves. But I don't care what other people think of my house or my home. It's what we make it and how we live in it the best we can. And to me, that's homemaking. To me, it's making a place where we have all we need, where we're happy and safe, and everybody else that comes here leaves feeling uplifted and happy and smiling. So forget about the stereotypes of generations past about what homemaking means. It just doesn't count. It just doesn't apply. And there's, so obviously, as you've seen here at Blue Garden Cottage, we do all the growing and the gardening, the preserving, the cooking, the frugal stuff, the food storage, the make, do and mend. Those are all things to me that are involved in homemaking. Homesteading is homemaking to me. So, and I've shared a lot of that with you. And I did promise you in the last video that I will show you what I got up to with those grapes. So here we are, my fresh grape storage. Can you see them in the bottles? And there are the trusses of grapes that I picked, quite a few weeks ago now. And I am so surprised at how they are doing. They're still really, really good. There are a couple of little ones that look like they've shriveled or might have a little bit of mold on them. So I check them through, and any that are not good I will pick off just to make sure they're looked after. Because I mean, your fresh stored food, you can't just put them in where you're storing them and forget about them. You have to keep an eye on your food storage, just like your dry food storage, where you have to rotate shelves and bottles and jars and things. But generally, this has been working amazing, because as you can tell, I mean, did I say I was going to put in a link to the other video that I did when I harvested the grapes? I'll put in a link to that one right in the top corner of the video. So there you go, look at that. And in these bottles, do you remember I told you I had some activated charcoal tablets? I can't remember if I told you when Buttons took ill because she'd been poisoned by something that she'd eaten somewhere. And we gave her some activated charcoal on the advice of a vet friend, which really helped. It's literally saved her life. So I remembered I watched Victorian Kitchen Garden many years ago when it was on the telly as a series, a rerun, because it was a series made in the 1980s about a Victorian kitchen garden, and some of the techniques they used for storing fresh fruit and veggies and stuff I found fascinating, and I clean forgot about it until I harvested the grapes, and then I thought, oh yeah, so that's why I harvested the grapes I did with those long stalks on, with just the truss, the long stalk and a tiny bit on the end, and then cut all the leaves off. That is why I harvested the grapes that way. and I stuck them in bottles with filtered water and one capsule of activated charcoal, because in the Victorian kitchen garden they had these wine bottles with charcoal in the bottom and water and diagonally slanted like this on racks, and you could just see these rows of grapes trusses that they had for quite a long time and kept fresh grapes. Now I cannot find that video again to be able to see it. I used to be able to find it on YouTube, but it's been taken down for some reason. I can't find it, so I'm going to have to search for and buy the DVD box set of the Victorian kitchen garden to be able to go through all of them again and find it, because I want to know how to keep this fresh. So I think what I'll do is I will each month just pour out the old water, put in new water and fresh charcoal just to keep it fresh and keep it going. It doesn't look too bad, look. Oh, you see, here's the charcoal in the bottom. So I am going to stir up that water a bit now, and then when I get chance another day, I am going to put in fresh water and charcoal just to see how long they'll last. So it's been quite a while. I will keep checking and taking off any of the oh, hang on, it's going to fall out. It's okay, I'll sort that when I'm finished with the video. I'm going to keep checking for any grapes, individual ones that go moldy or wrinkled, and take them off and see how long I can keep them going. And they're not bad grapes from the garden. I was really happy. Yep, they still taste really good, and actually they've got sweeter, so that is good news for me. I'm happy with that. And I've put them on here and in the cupboard under the stairs because it's cooler. There's an airflow, and they seem to be doing all right there. So I will keep taking them out every few weeks, every 2 weeks or so, checking, removing any that don't look perfect. I mean, that's not a bad loss out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trusses. Not bad. So there you go, another way of storing fresh grapes for a bit longer. I'm sure that you could make them last at least a month longer than they'd last in the fridge, because they would dry out and shrivel or go moldy in the fridge eventually. But these have been doing really well, so I'm happy with it, and I'm going to keep tweaking and figuring out how this principle works, and I will let you know. But there you go, another part of homemaking. Here we go. A lovely cup of Earl Grey rooibos tea with my organic soy milk. It's the only one I can find that doesn't curdle. I know there's a barista almond one as well, but they've usually got so many additives in them, and this is the only one that has no additives. It is a pure and organic thing with nothing else that will curdle or anything like that. So it's a good one to have in my cuppa, because I do not fancy even rooibos, which is technically a herbal tea, or barley cup, or chicory, or dandelion coffee. I like them with the milk. So I am glad I found a plant milk that doesn't curdle, and I enjoy that. And that's my cuppa. I never have a cuppa this late in the evening because it usually repeats on me, but I just felt like a nice cuppa rooibos. And then of course nibbling when I'm snacking, because I'm trying to avoid snacking on the usual naughty stuff. My strawberries that I dried, it's a nice moreish snack. And I have to remember when eating the dried fruits to drink plenty of fluids, because these are dried, they have no moisture in them. So you eat enough dried fruits without moisture and you will know about it. All that fiber without moisture, not good. But boy, does it taste good. So anyway, folks, just a tiny little hint of things that one of my feelings on homemaking, some of the things I've been doing, the grape storage, the fresh grapes, and how I'm pleased that finally my children have taken on board some of the things that I've taught them when they were little, and it makes and the comfort it gives me to pass on the things that I have learned to my children, and hopefully they will pass on to theirs, and I can be comforted that you know, the generations of my family whom I love will be safe and well because they are self-reliant. So I'll leave you on that note and wish you all the the self-reliance that you need to keep you healthy, safe, well, and happy, to find a way of making a sanctuary in your own home, no matter how humble, no matter how unfashionable your home may be, that it would still be the place you long to be, and that no amount of lockdown or stresses of life or illness could make you feel that your home is a prison, but instead a place of refuge and sanctuary and love. That is my wish for you all. Take care, everyone. I shall speak to you again next week. Do remember to like, subscribe, and share if you like, and do comment. It's lovely to hear everybody else's opinions on how they feel about things and the topics that I'm sharing with you and how I feel about them. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.